present my reflections on the bit from Surlila. As you know that Surlila is based on the story of Leela and Chanesar. And Leela and Chanesar were both wife and husband. However, their relationship was disturbed because of a necklace presented by a necklace that was in ownership of Kauru, the third one, the lady. So that necklace necklace separated them, and then Leela realized that she did mistake, and then she tried to request humbly to the Chanesar for reconciliation. And in this connection, there are different ways in this character of Leela, and one bet I have chosen today is Bika Mata Virse Kara Pasikes. Any other than me may not be proud of her black hair. Dhol paraye tan ke vilajini waist. Beloved, put on the dresses on those who have very despaired and torn dresses. Raniun pase libes dilum parkhe dasado. He does not recognize queens by their costumes, but he examines the situation inner situation within the hearts. So, in this way, it is very beautiful bit depicting different aspects of Leela's thesis. So, linguistically, if we look at this be mata, not the other. Here be functions as an emphatic continuative particle, giving the utterance a warning or admonitory force. Matta, lest, perhaps, beware that. Together they create a tone of caution. Beware, lest. The opening, therefore, immediately establishes the Bait as a warning rather than merely a narrative statement. Be mata ka kare. Be mata ka verse kara case. And then verse carries the semantic field of forgetting, overlooking, losing sight of, or failing, or recognizing something, or to be proud of. The expression suggests a psychological danger. One may become so absorbed in external appearances that one forgets the essential criterion. Thus, the first phrase of the Bait is already introduced by contrast. Visaran Gaflat Zahir versus Parakha Sunyanap Batan. Kara Pasi case. Kara means black, case means hair, and locks, Pase seeing. The phrase evokes the visual attraction of dark, beautiful hair. Linguistically, Shah Latif uses a very concrete sensory image here to represent the realm of physical beauty. This is characteristic of his poetic method. A tangible object becomes a vehicle for a much deeper psychological or spiritual meaning. The important philosophical point is that seeing is not necessarily knowing. Seeing is not necessarily knowing. One can see without truly parke discern. The external lexical contrast, passe and parke. This is perhaps the most important linguistic opposition. Passe sees, parke tastes or discerns, case here, dilu hurts. So the breath moves from case, vase, libes, vase, and case, dilu. From what the eyes see to what the heart contains. This is the journey of this thought. This is distinctly Latifian epistemology, appearance, providing information, but only inner discernment reveals truth. Dhol paraye tinke. Dhol is the beloved or husband, but in Leela Chanesar's symbolic structure, he can simultaneously represent the beloved, sovereign, judge, or ultimate evaluator. Parai, cause to wear, dresses, make someone put on. Tan, bodies. The phrase therefore foregrounds the body and its clothing. This is the significant because libas or clothing is a recurrent symbol of outward identity. A person's clothes can communicate status, beauty, wealth, social position, femininity, and royalty. But clothing remains external. The poet therefore established another opposition: tan, body, vase or dress, dil or heart. The body can be decorated, the heart must be tasted. The body can be decorated and the heart must be tasted. Feelings of heart must be sensed. Vilajini vase. Vase means dress, attire, appearance, or mode of presentation. The expression Jini vase can be understood that whatever attire they have, the dresses they wear, the plural dimension is important. The poem is not merely concerned with one woman. It creates a social field of comparison among women, where outward appearance can become a source of competition. This recalls major theme in Leela Chanesar's competition based upon beauty, adornment, status, and possession ultimately becomes morally unstable. Raniuna Pase Libes. He does not recognize, he does not see queens with in only dress, through dresses. He does not recognize queens only because of their dresses. The word itself, semantic field of royalty, Rani, privilege, social status, prestige, beauty, authority. But Latif places the questions in opposition to Dilu. This is crucial. The queens possess status. The queens possess beauty. The queens possess the good dresses. But status does not guarantee spiritual or moral worth. The phrase napase negates merely looking at or judging the external appearance. The poet therefore constructs an implicit proposition. Sachi Ujjan, Rani Ujjan. These are two different conditions. To be a queen does not matter. To be a truthful and trustworthy does matter in the eyes of Latif. So Shah Latif prefers not only queens but of trustworthy and truthful ones. Being a queen does not automatically mean possessing a noble heart. Dilyum parke dasado. This is the philosophical climax. Dilyum, hearts, plural of dil. In Sindhi, as in Persian and Sufi discourse, and dil much more then physical organ of heart. And in Sufi and classical discourse, Dil is the central sensational perceptory system of understanding. It can consist of not only heart but of mind too. So it represents consciousness, intention, love, sincerity, moral character, spiritual receptivity, the hidden self. Parkhe are tested, examines, distinguishes, evaluates. The verb is much stronger epistemologically than passe. Passe, perceive, perception, parkhe, discrimination are testifying. Dasado, the diminutive intimate form intensifies the emotional register of the beloved figure. Depending on the textual reading and manuscript tradition, it can be understood within the vocabulary of Das or Dasado. However, Dasado was the subcaste of Chanesar, carrying the sense of the beloved one who examines the devotees or the hearts. The key semantic function here is the taster of the hearts. Dasado is taster of the hearts. Dilyum parkhe dasado. Ranyuna pase libes. Dilyum parkhe dasado. So this final moment is he does not merely look at them. He does not merely look at their costumes and ornaments. He examines their hearts. This gives Beth its philosophical center. Then major philosophical theme is of Zahir and Batin. Appearances and inner self or disappearances are internal. The entire Beth can be organized around Sufi opposition. Zahir are external, black hair are external or Zahir, dress is Zahir, appearance, body is Zahir, queenship is external, adornment is external, social status is and internal or batin, heart is internal, intention is internal, sincerity is internal, love is internal, loyalty is internal, moral character is internal. Latif's insight that is that external beauty can deceive both the observer and the possessor of the beauty. External beauty can deceive both of them, the possessor of that beauty and observer of that beauty. So the deeper question is not who looks beautiful, but whose heart is genuine. In Latif's eyes, only the beauty which is being perceived by only eyes is not the beauty, because Latif goes beyond to that and he sees the beauty within the hearts. Dilyum parkhe dasado. Appearance versus reality. The Beth is fundamentally epistemological. It asks, how do we know a person? How do we know a person? There are two possible methods. Sensory knowledge, Pasi case, I see the beautiful, here, black here. Ethical, spiritual knowledge is Dilyum parkhe, I examine the hearts. These are two approaches to perceive any person. From his or her appearance and from his inner self, his or her inner self. The second is difficult but penetrating. The first is immediate but superficial. This makes the Beth relevant far beyond the Leela story. Latif is effectively warning against judging human beings through visible signs alone. Judging human beings through visible signs alone. Beauty as a philosophical test. An important subtlety is that Latif does not necessarily reject beauty itself. Latif modifies the beauty from form to the invisibility or to the quanta. Rather, he questions attachment to the beauty. Beautiful hair, clothing, jewels, and royal appearance are not inherently evil. The problem arises when Vasilo becomes Maqsad. Bitayi does not think the way as a destination. Bitayi tries to separate way from destination. In Sufi philosophical terms, Surat can either become a wheel or become a sign pointing towards deeper reality. Surat or form itself is a via media to step into an other perception, and that perception is very much permanent. Thus, the problem is not beauty, it is being deceived by the beauty. It is your outlook, how you are looking to the beauty, how you are sensing the beauty, how you are feeling the beauty, how you are perceiving the beauty. Psychological interpretation of this Beth will be the Beth also offers a sophisticated psychology of human judgment. Human beings naturally respond color, first to color, then to dress, then physical beauty, then social position. But these are observable variables. They can be variable, they can be varied. They are not permanent and sustainable. The inner qualities, love, loyalty, jealousy, greed, sincerity, humility, are hidden. Hence, Latif's distinction. Pasi are looking, Parkhe are penetrating. The nature observer moves from observation to interpretation. Ethical philosophy of this Beth is very interesting. The Beth proposes an ethical hierarchy. Adornment is lesser than the character. Status is lesser than the sincerity. Appearance is lesser than the intention. Body is lesser than the heart. What one wears is lesser than what one carries within. This is why the concluding phrase, Dilum Parkhe, has such enormous weight. The heart becomes the true site of moral identity. The heart is true site of moral identity. Sufi dimension of this Ved is also worth to be studied. Within Sufi thought, the kalab or dil is the locus of spiritual perception, center of all the positive thoughts or thinking. Sufis don't focus on only mind, they are inclined towards heart, and heart is kalab. A polished heart can perceive truths that ordinary sensory perception cannot. The Beth can therefore be interpreted as a movement from Chisham to Dil, from the eye to the heart. The eyes see the form, the heart recognizes the truth. That is the difference between the two, between the external and internal, between the appearance form and between the inner thing. So, that is the relationship study of physical form and metaphysical things. Feminist or social reading of this Beth will be, Beth also permits a contemporary gender sensitive interpretation. The queens exist within a social system where women can be evaluated through beauty, clothing, adornment, marital status, rank. Latif complicates this system by shifting attention from how women appear to who they are internally, because that is the sustainable part of his thesis. He is not looking at a human being only the people who are in power, as Latif is focusing on the majority of the people, majority of the world, majority of the humanity, not only kings and queens. However, he has given example of a queen, but he says generally queens, that Chanesar is not recognizing queens by their dressing, by their costumes. He is perceiving them, he is examining them from their hearts, that how their hearts are very much truthful, trustworthy, and sincere. In that sense, Beth undermines a purely objectifying gaze. The woman is not simply beautiful hair, attractive dress, royal status. However, he discusses the story of Leela Chanesar, and through that story, he tries to focus on human behavior and different dimensions of human behavior. He is not focusing on the only story of the Leela Chanesar. The story of Leela Chanesar is just like a window for it. Modern philosophical relevance of this Beth is also very much interesting and wonderful. The Beth has striking relevance to the digital age where we are living, where we are living in this world, and this world has been declared as the world of knowledge economy and world living with artificial intelligence. However, that intelligence is not artificial, that is copied intelligence. Today, people are frequently evaluated through photographs, clothing, brands, followers, likes, wealth displays, Instagram, TikTok aesthetics, professional titles. These are modern forms of ways, forms of costume. People are putting on outward presentation. Latif's question remains, do we see the person or merely the presentation? And in this regard, Latif wants to clarify that who so you are, be and remain in that fashion, remain trustworthy and truthful. Don't hide yourself into cascades. Try to break all of those cascades. Either you have put on yourself or the society has put on yourself. Latif wants to see a human being, a pure human being, thinking, saying, and doing purely. The equivalent of Karapasi case might be judging someone from photograph. The antidote is Dilyum Parkhe, understanding the inner person. Linguistic structure and poetic movement is also beautiful. Virse, Passe, Case, Parae, and Ves, Ranyu, Passe, Libes, Dilyum. The movement from visual vocabulary to psychological vocabulary. Shah Latif is very much cautious and conscious about the use of language. He has used language as a vehicle of thought, and so he has used beautiful language. And beauty is the major characteristic of the creation. First movement, passe, case, ves. The eye encounters the external world. Second movement, Ranyu and Dilyum. The social identity of women is contrasted with their inner identity. Parkhe. The external world is surpassed by discernment. So, structurally, the Beth itself performs the philosophical movement. It teaches Zahir, Swal, Batin, and Parak. Key symbols: Ks are hair, Ves are dress, Tan or body is material existence, Ranyu or queens are status and privilege, Dil or heart or inner self, Parak tasting, discernment as moral and spiritual knowledge. Dole, beloved and husband, judge, beloved, ultimate object of the central message of this Ved can be summarized as external beauty can attract the eye. External beauty can attract the eye, but only the heart reveals the truth of a person. Or in Latifian philosophical terms, that beauty is the thing of to see, and truth is to be tasted, to be perceived. Beauty belongs to appearance. That's why it is also said in English that beauty is not but skin deep. The beauty belongs to appearance, authenticity belongs to character. Overall, if we are interpreting overall this way, the Ved should therefore not be reduced to simple description of queens and their dresses. Abdul Latif uses the Leela Chanesar's story as an epistemological and ethical allegory. The poet contrasts looking with seeing deeply, appearance with reality, adornment with character, and social identity with inner truth. The queens may possess beautiful clothes and outward magnificence, but the ultimate criterion is dil, is heart. The decisive verb is parkhe. It transforms the beloved from a passive spectator into an examiner of inner reality. Thus, the philosophical trajectory of the Ved is Kes, Ves, Ranyu, and Dilyu. Here, dress, queenship, and hearts. And finally, Pase and Parkhe, seeing and discernment. The transition from sensory perception to inward discernment is the intellectual heart of the verse or epicenter of the theme of the verse. A concise thesis for this Ved will be that in this Ved, Shah Abdul Latif Bhittai deconstructs himself, has made construction of this Ved. However, he is going to deconstruct appearance-based judgment by contrasting pasi or seeing with parkhe or discerning. Here, dress and queenship represent the visible world of beauty and status, whereas the heart represents the hidden potential, hidden moral self. The beloved's true task is therefore not to admire external beauty, but to taste inner sincerity. The Ved transforms the romantic narrative of Leela Chanesar into a Sufi epistemology in which truth is discovered not through the eye alone, but through the discerning heart. So, in this way, Shah Abdul Latif has depicted very beautiful aspects of human behavior, and he tries to not only to explain the things, explain the situation, explain the twists in human life, but he tries to guide human being towards the very much secure and positive behavior. So that is the Latif through Leela Chanesar. He tries to open window towards good thought, towards cautious thought and conscious thought. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear friends.